Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We review anything and everything. And today we are taking a look at and getting into the Speed Champion set, which I'm actually was looking very forward to purchasing because I am a big fan of Mustangs. Now this is set 76920 Ford Mustang Dark Horse, which is kind of like a special edition Mustang. The equivalency of, if anyone's familiar with it, kind of on the same level as the Boss 302 line that came out, or at least the newer rendition of it came out in like 2012, 2013. Then you had, shortly after that, you end up having, I forget which exact year, but you had the Shelby GT 350, which is kind of lower than the 500. Then you ended up having the Mach 1. Then you ended up having the Dark Horse. And this is kind of the trims that are below the GT 500. So a little kind of below that, but above the regular Mustang GT. So this is kind of one of those type of level variants. Sorry about the glare. You can see the background looks nice back there. Let me try to angle things in a way where the spotlight is not on so much, but I also want you guys to be able to see it. So I hope that's a little better. And the side paneling, it just says Speed Champions. You can see the back. So you've got showing the highway in the back with the render of the car on the road. Here you have a picture of the actual car, and most of the time Speed Champs will do that with the box. You show a picture of the actual car in the Lego version, and there goes another picture of the Lego front, the grill. So you can see how it kind of matches up with the way the grill is on the actual set. You can see the lights and whatnot. Here you got this kind of Ford hologram, official licensed product. I don't think I've ever seen that with any other set but this Mustang. You have it written in Spanish, La Ford Mustang Dark Horse. And I don't know how many other Speed Champion sets have ever come with females as the person in the car, but this set actually comes with a female in the car. So let's get into the unboxing. This is my favorite multi-tool, which I've reviewed on the channel before. Now, most people who are into unboxing Legos, as I've shown before in the past, like to just come with a knife and do it like this, because when they have a little push area you can push into that, but you essentially destroy the image. So this way you get around that. Now let's see what we got here. Bag 2, bag 4, bag 3, and bag 1. So there seems to be 4 bags in total. Now we do have 2 sets of hubcaps. I didn't know we were going to get 2 sets of hubcaps, but we actually do. So that's pretty cool. I guess I'm going to have to take a look or Google an image on how the actual one looks to see which one has a closer set of hubcaps to what is normally on the actual car, and just fit those ones on. But I've always liked how the Speed Champions come with 2 sets of hubcaps, even though some will come with 1 if that one is very iconic. Like one of the only other Speed Champion sets I bought, I've only have 2 of them, which you could check on the channel for it. I have the Lamborghini Countach as one, and that one's hubcaps it only had 1 set of hubcaps that ever came with it, and that just kind of was always synonymous with it. So you aren't going to see dual hubcaps there. So this has one of the largest piece counts, but also too, the price on this right now is going for, I want to say $27. So sometimes when a set's been out for a while, you can see it on sale for like about 20. Now, I think that used to be the normal price at one point in time, and sometimes you can even see sets go even more on sale than that. But being that this just came out this month, I believe it was March 1st, um, you aren't going to see a sale on this probably anytime soon. And it actually has one of the highest piece counts. I don't know if to say in history of speed champs, but it definitely has one of the highest speed counts. So I am going to pause the video, put the set together, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to review the set. Okay, you guys. So now that we have the car completely built, let's take a quick look at it. One thing I want to jump into right away that before I forget is the wheels. I had mentioned that I wanted to Google the wheels, and there should be a photo posted before this section of the video of where I was doing the build, but along with I took an image from that I Googled to show that how the wheels look. They do have two sets of rims that on the natural car, they look one more similar to this and one that looks more similar to these type on the box. But I like the images of the rims that look more like this. Also, you can see, I don't remember or recall if in previous speed champion sets, like I said, I only have two, and one of them is it's a Ferrari 812, if I'm not mistaken, super fast. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I know the original design that it came from was the F12 Berlinetta, but I sometimes get confused with the later iteration of it. But I don't remember. I'll have to compare later on if it has the disc brakes underneath, but these have, and I put a picture before I put the rims in here of where there's disc brakes that are put inside there. So I think that looks cool, at least that kind of back area. That would be the brake. So I don't think I ever noticed that before or if it was ever done to the other Speed Champion set that I have. So with that being said, we're going to jump into things. First, I'm going to jump into the driver. So here you have this person who has the Mustang Dark Horse sweater, which I think is cool, little hoodie with the Dark Horse symbol on the back. And I honestly don't recall if previous drivers have or wearing branding swag on their uniform or their outfit, their racing outfit. Um, but that is the case here. This person obviously has this kind of very stylish hairstyle, going on. This is the first time I mentioned this earlier into the video. This is the first time that I've seen a female as the driver. So I don't know if that's common in other sets because I only have two Speed Champion sets, and both of those had men in them. The Lamborghini Countach and the old retro Lamborghini Countach, and then the Superfast, the Ferrari Superfast 812. So as standard, comes with a racing helmet. But what I also notice, it comes with a wrench because everyone needs to be able to work on their car. What I also notice is that some of the earlier sets, the racer couldn't fit with the top on without the helmet on if they had their hairpiece. This person can sit down in the car with their hairpiece or their helmet. And I think what's interesting about that is that when you have your regular hair on your hairpiece on the figure, Some of these cars, or I say most of these cars actually, other than a few of them that are specifically designed for racing, are cars that could easily be driven on the street regular, that a regular person would purchase. Or you could also then take them to the track because most of them are sports cars and you can kind of do either with them. So the idea that you could have the regular hairpiece on is suiting, one, for display purposes, if you want to display that they're not in a racing mode, but then two, is the fact that maybe, say, if you have a little town set up, a little city set up, and you have someone driving around inside the car, and you don't want to look like they're in a racing helmet, but they just happen to have purchased a nice car in your town, your little Lego town. So, getting into things, there is a bit of stickers inside this set, not a whole lot. We'll count them up. This is printing, and that's actually very nice. That is a sticker, and the same on the other side. That's a sticker, and the same on the other side. That's a sticker on the grill. Let me move some of these things out of the background so it doesn't try to focus on them. This is a sticker here, both of those. But then underneath here, I don't know if you can really see it that well, that's print. So it's interesting that they put the print there. It feels like they could have got away with putting print on a lot of this, but they chose not to. Um, Now, I will say this, that with this build, I feel there's a lot of little intricacies going on that make it where, since there's a lot of more individual pieces, sometimes you have to make sure they're lined up well so they don't look like they're kind of, facing slightly off position. And anyone who's built a Lego build like this would know what I'm talking about. If things aren't aligned directly, especially those one one brick space or like tile space kind of fitting where it's not two, so it doesn't have where it kind of locks into place, but just one where you kind of swivel it, turn it. You have to make sure that they're aligned correctly so everything looks smooth. You see this one has a lot of broken up areas in the build, but I guess, like I said, to get the look that you're trying to achieve. But when you build the build, you appreciate it because of how much goes into it to getting certain things the way they are. The whole build process really is interesting, especially this back design here was very interesting how they went about this and giving you those kind of curved lights. So that part actually is very interesting. You have two pieces of the same type, and then you just have them kind of compressed over top of each other, this one facing one way, the other one facing the opposite way, facing down on it. So it creates that image, which is so nice because you know how the build of the car is, that that is exactly how it is. So to get that, it's just very interesting. A lot of aspects of the build. Taking off the roof here, we can see inside. So I'm familiar with older Mustangs. I'm not familiar with necessarily newer Mustangs, but here you could see, I guess, let me see if I have something that I can point with. Let me use the wrench. So inside there, this is not going to work. Give me 1 second. Let me just use a pen. Okay. So inside there, you can see down below right there, those are two vents. Now, like I said, I don't know the placement, how things are normally on the car. Before, Mustangs traditionally would have the vents up higher and then the radio would be below it. But in this case, being that a lot of more modern cars have these huge screens on them, nowadays. So I think that what it's depicting here is this really big screen. Trying to hope that the focusing is clear. Really big screen right there in the middle, and the vents are below it, and then some toggle switches down below for, it looks like, probably your heating and all that other kind of good stuff. So you'd assume that's a touch screen because you could see right there at the top left is the home, driving conditions, and steering conditions, stuff like that. So it gives you that sense of it's a touch screen, and that's probably what it is, a big touch screen, because most of them nowadays are like that. Then over here you have the whole, I like how they did this. That would be where the glove compartment would be, and always on Mustangs for many years on the right hand side. And just to add I know I added this early in the video. I'm a big fan of Mustangs. Um, so always over the glove compartment, you would have badging that would say Mustang, maybe a horse symbol, maybe not. But then if it was a special edition Mustang, you would have it written there. And in this case, it would say dark horse Mustang. And I'm sure in the real one, it would show that. If I had a photo of the dashboard, it would show that because, like I said, being in previous Mustangs before, especially special editions, they'll write that the over the glove compartment area. Now, if it wasn't a special edition, it would still say Mustang. So you always had that dedicated area that would say that. So I thought it's nice that they put that there. Of course, you have your stick shift right there. That, though it just takes up extra space, you could almost consider that a cup holder. And what's funny is if I actually had a mug on hand, I don't have one on hand right now. Everything's kind of put away. But if I did, I would be able to put a mug there. What would be so interesting about that? I never thought about this um, prior in any other Speed Champion sets. But if you have space for something like that, you could throw a mug there. And that would actually be pretty cool to know that the person has that. Here you have this kind of lower console area where, you know, in theory, you could imagine that to be where you would put, like, say, you know, maybe a person will put their cell phone or something like that. You know what I mean? Like if you were in your car, you have that little like spot, that little pocket that goes underneath the radio where you will put some. So that's cool. The seats definitely are different. They're very showy. Um, you know, they're supposed to, it looks like they give that image of hugging the person's back because they wrap around you with those angles and the little headboard. So it's very nice. It looks very, like specialized, you know, seats. They're not basic. You could consider them probably Recaro if you wanted. So I like the interior. It's somewhat to me. It's it feels like there's a lot going on while being still like simple and clean. Because if I'm not mistaken, my Ferrari that I had felt like a lot more kind of going on, if I remember correctly, in terms of like the whole setup of the seating and this and that, whatever. But this one feels like it has a lot while still being clean, if that makes sense. Um, you have the back window here, the way they do it. Oh, I forgot. Those are stickers as well there. You have the spoiler. And I'm going to throw the person inside. You got the mirrors here on the side, which are done basic, but they're fine. They work. And often what I do is I will put the person's extra junk. I'm not going to do that now, but normally I'll put this in the other passenger seat just so I don't lose it while I'm, you know, have this thing maybe on a shelf. I like to keep everything together. And there you go. You could see that the roof fits perfectly with the person in it. It's not hindered by the hair, at least to the best of my knowledge. It looks like it's a little bit up by a little bit. Hold on. Let me make sure the person is sitting all the way back. I'll push their feet down. There might be a little bit where the hair presses on it a little, but it's not even noticeable enough for you to, nope. Me correcting their seating has pushed it down completely flush. You just got to make sure that you push their feet down and push their backside down as far as possible. You can see there, it's actually completely flush. So this person is able to sit with their extravagant hair and still be able to, you know, sit. So they didn't need some low hair piece that's very flat and low for them to be able to sit down correctly. You can see how they look inside the car there, facing us. Sorry about glare. This is going to be a fingerprint magnet also, just so you know. Here you can see them cruising along, nice height while they sit. They can look right outside of the side, so that's nice. One thing I'm just going to tell you is be careful with your stickers. I actually put one of the handle stickers on facing the other way where the door handle was more towards this side. And then I had to pull it off. And I was almost just going to deal with it and let it sit there, but I didn't. I had to pull a knife and slightly peel it back. Sometimes it's hard, but you don't want to end up having things looking bad. Just leave it that way because you're going to regret it later on down the line. A little bit tidbit information that I looked up, and it's nothing major, but so this car has 500 horsepower, 418 foot-pounds of torque. Now, like I mentioned earlier in the video, this is the it's kind of like the model that goes below the top end model generally when it comes to Ford Mustangs. Ford Mustangs, there's always like so you have the base model, then you'll have the GT, which is usually the V8. I don't know if at what point that's going to change down the line, because obviously everyone knows who's familiar with cars that, V8s are kind of on their way out, and all the higher gas guzzling ones are on their way out. But generally, you have a base model, you have the V8, then will have a special edition that is above the GT, and then you'll have the GT 500. Generally speaking, if that year had chose to make 4 different variations. Now, this falls in line of the one just below the top end model. So you're getting 500 horsepower with it. Naturally, this is not, from the best of my knowledge, this is not coming from any kind of supercharger or turbo or anything like that. And most of the models that have been below the GT 500, but like the special edition model for the year, have been naturally aspirated. So that's actually pretty good. In 2012, when they came out with the Boss 302, it was naturally aspirated to 400 and I want to say 40 horsepower, though it had a little bit less torque than the natural GT that was going for about 420. I think it was 412, or was it 420 horsepower, depending on the gas that you put in it. So from that point, and like I use it as a reference because that was probably one of the most early modern special editions of the current time, not dating back to say the 90s and before, but that being around 2012. And from that point, after that, you ended up having, as I mentioned before, you ended up having the, let's see. You had the Boss for up to 2013. Then you had I want to say they did have a Bullet version. In that, I don't know if it tweaked the horsepower much, if it was considered that much of a special edition. You did have the GT 350, which then I believe was later replaced with the Mach 1. And then now you have the Dark Horse of that line. So, yeah. Let me see something on the back of this real quick. Okay. So you have the lights here. I don't know if there are lower lights on the car naturally, because I don't know how it looks. I know I have a picture that I posted before this. I can't tell off the top of my head right now how that looks. So I guess we could just reference that photo when you're looking at it to see if there are lights below these lights. Yeah. So I don't want to stretch the video too longer than it already is. You guys, as always, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.